Howdy everybody, Brian here from quantlabs.net. Today in this video I want to go over something I rarely talk about or have talked about and more recently in 2020, namely Matlab, Simulink, C++, FPGA, HDL, all that fun stuff I used to do quite a few years ago. Before I get started, let me just talk about the progress coming from that world, which is very expensive, really more institutional. Then I moved into Python about 3-4 years ago, and it's all open source, all free, much simpler to code up, faster to code, maintain as well. And I've got my Python course as well to help people build simpler algo trading solutions with Python versus this kind of technology. So, anyways, I'm going to go back or get into it. So this guy was asking via LinkedIn. So here we go. Hi Brian, appreciate you getting back to me. Thanks. I wondered if you still use Simulink Stateflow system to generate models and trade from what interface broker you use. When I first looked at it, it looked really good with the code generation for C++ and being able to visually design models was really enticing. One of the showstoppers for me was when I wanted to go more legit, get into this technology, you're probably looking in the neighborhood of probably $100,000 for a 4-year license with Matlab. So it was a no-brainer for me. That, as I said, it was a showstopper. I'm not sure what the pricing is today, but at the time it was very, very expensive, which tells you it's really for institutional. To co-generate, that's an expensive toolbox, and so on and so forth. So theoretically, the idea is great to be able to, as I said, to visually design your models like I guess an electrician would do. It's a totally different world as well. Now, one of the things we need to talk about here is the generated C++ code. At the time, I was pretty gung-ho with it, with somebody out there named, back in the day, called London Quant. He was just a kind of guy who firmly believed in hand coding everything from scratch and everything. I'm talking about charting, you name it, 100% coded up by himself in Windows and C Sharp. Very successful at it. So I was probably going more the lazier way with the C++ coding generated out of Simulink. And again, I'll get into the broker in a minute. But the C++ code, when you looked at it, generate at the time, we're going about at least 5 years, 6-7 years. The generated code from C++ for the C++ was very cryptic, not manageable, was not maintainable. So all of the development would have to be done in the Simulink environment, and then have the code generated every time you do an iteration of changes with the C++ code. So the next question became out, well, how do you interface it with a broker API? At the time, I would have probably gone with interactive brokers because it's universal. If I was to do today and crypto, I probably, there's some C++ support out there from a lot of the bigger crypto exchanges, but it really doesn't change the point of the quality of the C++ code and the challenge that you'll face trying to maintain that and having to go through each time you want to change a model to regenerate the code, and then debugging it is a real pain in the ass as well. So from my point of view, it was expensive. It can be overkill. There's a lot of potential with it, without a doubt. If it's done right, I just talked to somebody about it, and it definitely can be done. But as I said, with the Python, it's just much easier, simpler, true open source, which means obviously it's free and there's no $100,000 license. So regarding just generally the Matlab support, talking to this person last week, from what I understand, if you're spending a lot of time in or spending a lot of money on MATLAB and MathWorks for support, you would expect A+++ support. Apparently, a lot of toolboxes that you spend a lot of money on do have bugs. Sometimes those bugs don't get looked at, and you always have to find workarounds. And again, this is with a very high-priced product, so you have to keep that in mind with just generally MATLAB and Simulink. Also, we Continue along. Also, you refer to using Simulink workflow to generate HDL and using FPGA. I have a couple of free sample models from the internet in Simulink can generate HDL code the way you show in your video. But how can you use this with my home and FPGA with a NIC and data provider who cater to FPGA setup? Okay, with the FPGA, again, it's really, really overkill with FPGA now. You're going back in the days of when coding and hardware and being on the hardware and everything was all about splitting hairs on trying to get your server faster and da-da-da and having an edge. I think now in 2020, the markets are so efficient, trying to get an edge is pretty tough to do. Even if you get an edge, it might be very, very temporary. So the amount of time you go after that opportunity and putting all the resources and time and value of whatnot into it, that opportunity by the time you complete it will be done. I have the same challenge with Python and crypto markets when they consistently change, i.e. DeFi, maybe in a couple of weeks, couple of months, DeFi may no longer exist. So you always have to change that. And when you're dealing with FPGA, which is a very, very tough piece of technology, it's hardware based. And so I'm not sure if FPGA, I'm no expert here, if it's still valid. Maybe it is, I don't know. But from a retail point of view, or from a retail trading point of view, it's one of those things that it's like trying to kill a mosquito with a sledgehammer. It's overkill. Python will get you fine. So regarding FPGA and the PC, I have no idea now. There was Altera and Xilinx, all these boards, very expensive, and I don't think anything's changed there. The applications may have changed as well. I know there's a huge community of FPGA experts and fans out there for that type of hardware. But again, if you want to do it for fun and you just want to do it for the challenge, be my guest. Same with Simulink and the C++ code generation. I would do that. But if you are trying to pursue this as a serious business and trying to build a actual some kind of self-employed generating your own income from it, this is definitely a path I would probably avoid, because at the time I thought Simulink, C++ code generation, and the FPGA was awesome. But things have changed now since then, and Python has really simplified things, and everything now going cloud. And with what Google's bringing out these days, it's just getting easier and easier to take full advantage of the hardware out there. You just pay for it at the cloud level, or maybe there's some brokers out there that have radically improved the technology to get, if you're into split hairs on the speed, I'm sure there's different arrangements that can be made. I have not seen that yet in bigger, let's say in crypto, bigger exchanges like Binance have not seen any discussion about it. No services offered by these big exchanges, namely like Binance. And even if they did, I'm sure they'll charge a lot of money for it. So again, it's not really meant for retail traders, because let's face it, retail traders are small potatoes, and we're getting the crumbs, and usually we don't have a lot of cash to spend the $5,000-$10,000 a month to achieve what you're probably looking for. So about the guy, he says he mainly trades futures, not a programmer, anything like that. So this is a big concern when you say you're not a programmer. I can tell you, when you go into C++ code generation, FPGA, I'm a developer since the age of 14. I'm now 51 age-wise. So that's how much technology I have behind me in terms of experience. I knew C pretty good back in the day, and I'm telling you, this code generation, C++, Simulink, Stateflow, FPGA, with my kind of background, technical background, I have a challenge with it. So for somebody saying they're not a programmer, I could imagine what they're going through. It may be easier, but again, it's just definitely not a path to go down. That's why I always recommend people to look at my Python course, just to simplify things, because this stuff that I do now is really built for people like that, built for retail traders. And one example is the Python course, which you can get at quantlabs.net/Python and get more information about it, and all the other fun stuff. All right, hopefully I'll help you out, and we shall talk to you later. Thanks for watching, and have yourself a good day. Thanks for the questions as well.